So I'm here to talk about Gracious Pharmacy Company. It's fundamentally a consumer biotech play, and we believe consumer biotech is actually the future of health, and I'll explain why. So I want you all to imagine a world in about a year from now where we will start our first local pharmacy with an F. All right, you're going to be able to walk into a retail outlet in Charlotte. It'll be our first location, a pilot, where you'll be able to see your medicine being grown in front of you. This is because there are 50,000 identified active plant molecules already known to scientists and clinicians, but they're not commercialized. People are literally dying for these molecules, but you can't get them because the technology isn't there to produce them affordably. So what I'm here talking about today, and what our company really represents, is a shift towards prevention. All right, these active plant molecules, they are delicate, they are in lower concentration, but they are more affordable and can be taken sustainably over your entire life. And our first one is called sulforaphane. And it is, and I mean this quite literally, nature's most potent chemopreventative compound. It's the reason broccoli is healthy, it's the reason Brussels sprouts are healthy. And what we've been able to do is take a month's worth of anti-cancer diet and condense it down to a gram, a scoop, a teaspoon. And you get as much sulforaphane from 1 gram of our powder as you would take a cup or two of broccoli to get. But you get so much more. So this is really a plant-based solution. And when I say biotech, we are literally growing molecules. We're growing plants perfectly from a biophysics standpoint to produce these active plant compounds. You're going to be able to come in and see them growing right in front of you. The competitors are in plants all across the world. You're going to be able to see the data. These are clinically superior molecules, so we validated them, and I'll get into that why it's so important. And we're the only company in the world that's capable of doing this. It's going to be a really exciting time, and Charlotte is going to be the global headquarters for this new industry. So our scientific validation, real quick. Spent 5 years at a private lab at University of North Carolina, Charlotte, to produce the product that you can get now at getgracious.com. And our key molecule, our first, is 4 times more active than clinical lab-grade alternatives. The shelf life is off the chain, so 6 months at room temperature. This is a big deal, and I'll get into why. And our absorption rate is about twice as high, which is really important because we don't have a lot of these molecules in these plants, so every single mole needs to get into the cell. We've had third-party labs verify everything, and the way we do it, it's very scalable, which is important, clean and stable, which took years to figure out how to do, and provably works, which is really important. It's easy to make these claims, so why are we the one to do this? So right now, if you want these active molecules, you can pay $1,200 for 100 grams, but you better have a lab-grade cold storage facility. This is a big problem that keeps them from getting to your local clinician's office, cold storage chain. We've solved that. You can't see where they're made. These are extremely complicated biomanufacturing facilities like our GLP-1s. You can't just 10x the output because the facility is the bottleneck. The labor is a huge cost, so they're on foreign soil, and so we can onshore that and spin up new capacity very quickly. We've solved that piece. And then this is the most important one. The medical industry wants these molecules but can't get them, and where they can get them from, there's no proof that they work. Lab tests are very promising, but do they work in a human being? That's the gap we're able to solve, and that's what makes our products so interesting. So just to zoom out, revenue is not the problem. We've reverse engineered a platform that can scale 100,000 square feet at a time in under a year. We can go into commercial office buildings. We can go into all sorts of spaces. The demand is the real bottleneck. So we have plans to put up a lot of facilities all over the country. Each one, 100,000 square feet, will net 80 million on 100 million revenue. And it's based on demand, though. And so who will be taking our products? Our first market is oncology. We're going to transform the oncology industry to shift towards prevention. All right, 15,000 kids get cancer a year. They'll get our supplements for free. We're working with a local hospital system for them to get comfortable with the tests. But while 2 million people get cancer a year, there's 40% of us in America are waiting to get cancer sometime in our lives. No one is solving that problem. So who's selling into the 136 million Americans that are waiting for their cancer diagnosis? Our oncology supplement is multimodal. And you can get this via email if you want. I'm happy to share it. It activates the body's natural cellular protection genes. It inhibits a key enzyme that suppresses cancer-fighting genes, kills cancer cells selectively, blocks cancer-inducing inflammation, suppresses cancer stem cell production, flushes carcinogens, which is a big issue. It also has been shown to increase the efficacy of generic chemopreventive drugs. So our product is really a platform. So many molecules we can mix and match. Our first 6 target these disease states, and they're focused on prevention. Each one of these is a massive market in and of itself. So a 500 square foot plant from low to high projection, we think can hit 20 million in revenue. This is about 50,000 customers or subscribers. And the only question is when can we hit that, not if. In Charlotte alone, there's 500,000 people that need these products. This will sell nationally. Our business model, we sell powder. So we're selling direct to consumer at $700 a pound. Our raw powder, higher concentration to hospital systems, and there we need to convince clinicians. We'll use that data to sell into biopharma at a further higher price point with more purified isolates. So we ran a beta test online, vibe coded our app, our e-store, sold out immediately, 0 CAC, 80% margins, 2K MRR, still going. We had to stop because we don't have the output to provide that. Great industry partners as we scale and test. And it's being done by the first US vertical farmer, which is me. I'm the reason the salad industry in vertical farming is where it is, and now my attention is being focused on medicine. All right, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Okay. There's a lot to that pitch, okay, right? Like, so we all know that, and you know that because I can see you sitting up there thinking in the back of your head, wow, there's a lot of information for me to deliver. It's funny, where you ended, I would actually start. If I knew this up front, I would have been like, okay, this guy knows how to scale the operation. And it's funny, I just saw a pitch a couple of weeks ago. I was talking about this with somebody else recently. You oscillate between two, what I would call like forms of pitching. One is this very aspirational blue sky, like we're gonna crush this, which is super interesting and compelling. I'm not saying that's good or bad. The other is you touch on like where you're building edge, right? So it's like, I'm trying to identify you as, are you a really amazing operator who can scale vertical farms to those unit economics? Or are you some like really interesting nutritional visionary person? And I'm kind of confused as to where I want to put you, right? So most times when I'm meeting an entrepreneur, hearing them for the first time, I'm like, what's this person really good at and what are they probably not so great at? And I'm quite frankly like totally confused as to what to think. When you ended here, I was like, this is probably an operator now. So I would like figure out as an entrepreneur, not just for this pitch, but for any, it's like, what do I want to come across as, right? I think you guys have figured out a lot along the way. And it feels like this pitch would be more successful raising money if it was more about, we have an operational edge and a first mover advantage. That might be better than selling blue sky aspirational, I'm going to sell $1 billion worth of powder. So that's kind of, I don't know what to call it, the big picture feedback. The question I would have for you is like, where do we go from here, right? Like, so when I get to the end of this pitch, I'm like, okay, are we building a 500 square foot facility? Like what's the next gear that you're looking to catch, right? So that's where I would actually try to get to quicker in your pitch, because if I get through all that noise around big picture and operational edge, I want to just know, like, what are you doing with this company next? Because it's very compelling, right? And that's why I think that's the hook you've set. We just got to kind of keep driving at that. So yeah, where do you want to go next?
Absolutely. We're building this facility. It's happening in Charlotte. I'm not going to say funding secured, but it's almost secured. And we are going to be creating an LLC, it's so revenue rich that we don't need to endlessly fundraise. We want to hold it long term, so we're talking to private individuals. Hopefully that'll be done by the end of the week. And the location is between 1 and 2 locations, and we're kind of pitting them against each other to give us a sweet deal here. So by the end of summer, hopefully we'll be up and running.
So this is, to me, this is the perfect example of, let's call it a very technical product and how the pitch can go a little bit off the rails. So what I mean by that is, so the number one goal of a pitch, and most people don't get this, is to get an hour meeting with me afterwards, right? So that you can tell me all the details, so that we can go through the nuance, so that we can dig into what makes you great and new, right? That is often inspired by a very quick hitting, 20,000 foot level journey through the story of like, this problem exists, right? There's a solution to this problem, right? We actually have built this product that fundamentally gets there. There's this huge opportunity in front of us, right? We sit in this unique competitive position. The time is now because technology or some other thing has enabled us to finally solve this problem, right? We have a business model that makes sense. This is how we're going to go to market. This is the traction we have. We have this great team. And here's my ask, right? Like, everybody should just tell that story, because at the 20,000 foot level, I go, that's compelling or not, right? This is a perfect example of like, there's so much amazing things probably embedded in this product that you'd get bogged down in trying to tell me about it. I want to hear that next time, not right now, right? Because it makes the story kind of go uneven at times. So that's more of a pitch, just kind of a thought on that. I think that there's a lot of really amazing stuff in here. What I did want to get to is beyond you. So like vertical farming is probably one part, but there's clearly some like very technical scientific stuff that's gone on and I know you sort of touched on it in the UNCC thing, but my expectation is there's someone besides you on this team. Is that true?
Nope. It's
okay.
Me. I'm gonna have 2 associates. The 500 square foot space is more like manual labor. I'm a marketer by trade too, so we're doing everything in-house. And I have a team that is being amassed for the next project that we'll have to fund ourselves. But a lot of them are under, they can't, they're working with people that they can't be in the deck. So there is a team, but it's for a private conversation. I'm poaching a lot of really interesting people. Let me just put it that way.
Yeah, because I would say like the fact that you've built vertical farms is cool. I want to know who the scientist is or the biotechnologist or whoever. Maybe if there's a go-to-market person on that side.
This is the challenge. That's me. I'm the scientist and the go-to-market specialist. I invented the equipment. I invented the process. I validated the market through my marketing. It's a very, and this is the challenge. I haven't even scratched the surface. So this is the 10,000. I'm going to zoom out a little bit further and try next time.
20,000 foot level, you have a compelling enough narrative here, especially through we did this like quick test. We sold out instantly. I think there's enough there to get people to jump into that conversation. So I think people will get there. Too many words, I guess that's pretty happens from time to time. You mentioned on there, so 2026 revenue was 20 million on this slide. What is it right now?
No. This is projections. We have 50 subscribers, $40 each, so 2,000 MRR, and we're bottlenecked by our capacity to produce right now.
Okay, so as I was looking at that, it made it. If we're in April 2026 and the bar chart says 20 million revenue, then I would expect you to be kind of trending towards 20 million. Right? No, that's okay.
In a deck, I'm going to use that as like, this is live. If you reference what we could do, like outside of a chart or a more empirical looking thing, okay, cool. It's a conversation, yeah.
Yeah, 27 and beyond, I've already discounted heavily in my head. But 2026, I think, is like not gospel, but is rooted in some projection. And so I would just be, careful on that side. But yeah, I mean, I think that's just really the big thing is like, make sure that you have something really compelling. Don't get bogged down in the pitch to tell me about it. Go through the story, make it really compelling all through those core pieces. Get me to the table on the next one, and let's dig into the science. Yeah.
Just throw one more comment on top of that, which I think I see this a lot. Is doing this. I think Laura's joking. I was doing this 15 or whatever for many years. You were talking about like value proposition or highlights on the product, 6 months shelf life, better absorption. Those words and those concepts were not on the slide you were referring to. So you can definitely shed content, shed words, and just get your verbal delivery down and use the slides as visual support, right? I'm not saying like put what 2 pounds of broccoli looks like, broccoli next to a pill, I don't know, but just simplify it. Because when in these 10-minute constructs, if you're explaining, you're losing, right? You're losing time. You're running out of time to like hit the mark that Chris wants to hit, which is, this is worth 2 hours of my time now to follow up with you. So
you should be able to raise venture dollars from this. Like that's my takeaway. So,
It doesn't align with their fund structure. I haven't been able to convince a VC. Maybe I need to go back to the. Yeah, exactly.
That would be my. And I don't know anything about this space. But
let me dig in on this because I looked at easily 5 or 6 vertical farming things, and I've done 3 or 4 food deals. I'm not sure if I want to invest in the intellectual property behind what's happening here, or if I want to own the asset. The asset being the vertical farm, right? So am I an asset investor? Right. And it's confusing. It's a little confusing to me right now. And you're not going to solve that in 10 minutes, but you need to set the hook. So I want to talk to you about both of those models. And that's where you need to do the work. Yeah.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Ross.